to another great episode of Real Life Matters. Of course, I'm your host, DBoss. And, I've been giving some tips. I don't know what to do, but the technology today is just a little crazy. So if anybody here, the laughing is something that's good for your soul, that's good for you, that's good for your well-being. It bring level, and it makes you keep looking young and youthful. But anyways, today I have a very special guest coming on here to she is a respected journalist, a fashion magazine editor-in-chief, an on-air personality, a producer, and the cast of The Real Housewives of Toronto, people. Yes, Toronto. And we're going to find out all about what she does. Also, she's bringing out a novel, Most Hated, and she's going to tell us all about that. So, and if no other further ado, I introduce to you Kara ALLOWAY.
How are you? How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm great. Nice to see you in your full and effect.
There we have it. So everyone can recognize it when they go on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, find it. That's what it looks like. It's pink. I love pink.
Oh, yeah, me too. I like that color too. And also here at Real Life Matters, everybody likes to know what's your cultural background. So we can, in case any other countries are watching you, they can see you.
What's my cultural background? So I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. And my ancestry is German, Irish. I'm a little bit of everything mixed in there, actually.
Well, we have a lot of guests like you. Some of them come from Morocco, Spain, and different people got all these different backgrounds. We always like to know where everybody comes from.
When people ask me what my background is, I tend to say
go ahead.
No, I tend to say I'm like a mutt. I'm like a little bit from all over here. And you know what I find about dogs? The purebreds, not so smart. The mutts, they're the smart ones. So
okay. And you also produce The Real Housewives of Toronto. So tell us a bit about that.
So no, I was a Real Housewife of Toronto. I don't produce it. I produce reality television programs, but I did not produce that one. I was in it. I was a participant in that one. I was a Real Housewife. I was actually the villain on that show.
The villain? Woo! So you're the one that stirred up the trouble for everybody?
I was the pot stirrer. Yes.
Wow. So how did you like being in that?
Well, it was an interesting experience. It was a great education. I used to say, well, it's interesting, but I'm glad it's over. It's never fun to be the one that's set aside. At the same time, I realized that somebody has to cause the trouble. Somebody has to make it entertaining for the viewer. So once I realized that that was the position that production really needed me to step into, I went for it and said, okay, let's have some fun with this. Because I have to tell you, when people say, oh, but the villain, that's so awful, really and truly, the villains tend to be the most memorable characters. I mean, when you think of 101 Dalmatians, I'm not sure if you can recall the name of the woman that actually adopted the dogs, but everybody remembers Cruella, don't they? So being the villain, you get to be a little bit memorable.
Yes. All right. So when you're singing that and doing that, how did you feel? Like did you put your own personal business out there? Or
no, because my own personal business, that's a great question, actually, because my own personal business is producing reality television. So that would be a little challenging without breaking that fourth wall. So actually what I did at the time was I had an idea for a concept of a reality television show that dealt with charities and charity work. So production came to me and said, why don't you use the Real Housewives of Toronto sort of as your sizzle for that? So I became the philanthropist, as it was from the cast. I was the one that was inviting everybody to these charity events and saying, come on, which was a little ironic because a lot of the feedback from the public was, but she's so mean. Why would anyone want to go to her event? And I kept saying, look, it's not about me. It's about the kids. You can hate me. Come and support the kids.
That's well, you put it in one big nutshell there. We are going to her because we hate her on that show.
Exactly. I did a scene on the show. They had me do a scene with my mom.
You were acting in that.
Yeah, exactly. It's all for entertainment, but I did a scene with my mom, which was kind of funny because my mom was the one that she has been involved in fundraising and whatnot, like professional fundraising for quite some time. She was the one that first introduced me to it from when I was a small child, and she would do fundraising for my school on the PTA and things like that. So they had me do a scene with my mom, and I thought, well, this is going to be fun. I'm going to have a little fun with my mom, who's a little older. And I said, Mom, gee, I don't know what to do. I'm doing this fundraising event and I have to invite all these people and I'm not friends with them, especially, and they're not friends with me. And I don't know what to do. And my mom, bless her, was so classic. She said, Kara, have I taught you nothing? You invite them to the event and then you sit them over there. And I was like, oh, this is so great.
Well, mom has an influence there.
Absolutely.
So tell me now, with your novel, Most Hated, what made you call it that name and write a novel?
So actually the name came from my youngest son. After I had completed the novel, I was asking, I asked a lot of people and I went through a lot of different iterations. I was thinking, do I call it The Real Housewife? Do I call it, champagne problems? Because really, really and truly, the problems that you suffer in these reality shows are, it's meant to be entertainment value. It's very superficial, at least in our iteration of the show it was. So I couldn't decide what I should call it. And it's so funny. My youngest son said, but Mom, you were the most hated. Why wouldn't you call it Most Hated? And I went, bingo, that's it. That's the name, Most Hated.
Okay, so the Most Hated, but you put on the Most Hated, you put a pink.
Ironic, right?
Which is really feminist.
Exactly.
A feminine color. So I guess, with you playing the villain because unfortunately that's going to be with you for a while, correct?
You know what? You're very intuitive because that's actually meant to be a little wink because you'd think Most Hated, the cover would be black, right? Most Hated, the witch, the bad one, the evil one, some sort of dark brooding, maybe a dark, deep red or something like that. But that's exactly why I did put a pink because it's sort of like a big
or purple or
exactly. It's a big wink. And the novel is just that. It's a novel. It's a fiction story. So there is nobody in the novel that represents a housewife from any franchise, past or present. It's how I would cast if I was doing my iteration of a reality show dealing with women in an urban setting. So one of my characters is an ex-soccer player married to a sensational football sports star. I am passionate about football. Go Kansas City Chiefs. I am such a Chiefs fan. So one of my characters is married to a sports superstar. And another character is a Manhattan celebutante, as I call her. So she used to be an actress. She marries someone who's very wealthy in Europe. She picks up and moves to Europe. I don't want to give too much away. I have another character who's the CEO of a sex toy company because I wanted, someone who's like a little bit in there and had to have someone who could add some flavor and seasoning. Social influencer who's very outspoken. She's the youngest character. She's in her early 20s, who's not married, but she's with a much older man. And then I have a former teen singing sensation. So as I said, it's fiction. It's fun. It's fiction. But, it does draw from my experience behind and in front of the cameras.
Okay. So what is everybody? It's out, right? Already?
It's released on May 30th. But actually, for your audience, I'm doing a giveaway. This is kind of fun on Goodreads, which is a great place to visit and source books. There are individuals on Goodreads that spend their lifetime, as it were, reading books and reviewing books. So it's a great place to go if you're sort of lost when you go on Amazon, or you're lost at the bookstore and you know what you're looking for. I want books about female friendships, or I want a romance novel, or I want a thriller. Goodreads can break it all down for you. They have people who do reviews and whatnot. So if your audience goes to goodreads.com, that's Goodreads, all one word.com, and looks up Most Hated, I am giving away in advance of the release 10 signed copies of Most Hated. And so your audience can be some of the first to get on it and read it before it's released and start talking and buzzing about it.
Okay, so do you have an audible version of it, the book also, or not really?
Yes, and an electronic format as well, because how do you read your books?
Okay.
How do you read your books? Do you do
Audible? I actually read the book, or I read it on the online.
I
actually read it. I want to read it.
Me too. I like to dog ear the page. I like to go back and think, wait, what did that character do? But there's a lot of people who like the e-readers, and there's a lot of people who enjoy the Audible books. So the Audible is coming. It will be before the book is released. It will be completed. I just had a lot of fun casting that. Oh, that was fun to try and find someone who can capture the voice that's in my head when I'm writing the book. Was a real challenge. A sensory challenge actually for me, to listen to the voice and can she capture the characters in the book, but without being too kitschy, because you don't want someone who's really play acting, but you want them to read the book the way, when you read a book, the voice that goes off in your head too. So that was a lot of fun. So it will be e-reader, Audible, and good old fashioned paperback.
Okay, and how many pages?
You sound like my son. Every time I suggest a book to him, I want to know how long it's going to take me. It's actually, I know this number by heart. It's 264 pages. But I will say this, it's a very fast read, as others have told me. People I've given the book to preview, and my publisher, and people I've worked with editing the book. It's a very fast, it's like reality television on the page. So, I mean, we're not talking anything really deep. It's not Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale or anything like that. It's a very light read. It's fun. You will laugh out loud. You'll shake your head. I hope that the reader will get as passionate as television viewers do when they're watching reality television, and start to hate and cheer for the different characters on the pages. And stay tuned for a big twist at the end.
Woo. So do you think that you're going to make this book into one of your reality shows?
Maybe not a show, but maybe a show like a limited series, maybe a movie. I've heard people compare it and say it's like what The Devil Wears Prada was for fashion magazines. This is for reality television. I mean, we have a protagonist who is incredibly emotionally intelligent, and she struggles because she feels everything so deeply. Whereas some of the other characters who are her co-stars are happy just to go through the experiences of reality television and sort of waft through it. She bleeds on the pages and feels everything. She's a lot like myself.
Well, that's great. Okay, so while we be looking out for you, and you got to come back and let us know exactly how everything is going with the novel, and people to go get it. If you see it here on my show, you can respond to Kara, and we could just get in, and she'll give you a signed copy. Of course, I would copy also, because I already know, because my little bird, a little birdie told me that I was getting one, and I said, "Oh, I was."
Yes, you're going to get a signed
That's
copy.
great. So, are there anybody that?
Pardon me?
All right. And is there any shout outs that you want to? Are there any shout outs that you want to give to the people? Anybody?
Shout outs.
Shout out.
Shout outs to all the people who are going to read and buy my book. Thank you in advance. It's one thing to write a book. It's another thing once the book is complete and really pick it up and to read it. As I was telling you earlier before we went on, I had an opportunity to speak, like a chance of a lifetime, to speak with Margaret Atwood, who is basically Canada's national treasure and such a great, great author. Her claim to fame is really, she wrote The Handmaid's Tale, which of course became such a popular series. But she said something so spot on yesterday. She said, when you write a book, you don't really write it for yourself. A lot of people have that misconceptions that somehow it's a therapy. And there are a lot of writers who do therapy by writing, but you really write it so that the reader evokes. And so I'm so excited to hear the feedback from the readers and to hear, well, how did it make you feel? What did it bring up in you? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And again, it's hard for me to talk about it without, giant spoiler alerts. But I would love to hear back from your audience and hear how they liked it.
All right. So they want to hear people. She wants to hear feedback. She wants to feel what kind of it brought out in you. It brought out maybe it'll bring out the villain in you. Maybe the naughtiness in you. Maybe
Absolutely.
the person that you never thought you could be, what you are could be.
I know your audience is really considerable and varied and spread out and in a couple of countries. So if everybody just heads to Amazon.com after they've read it and give me a review, good reviews, bad reviews, I just love that. That's the best part about writing a book, is the connectivity with the reader. I love that.
Right. So are you gonna write something else?
Oh, there's already one cooking.
Oh, you see? She wants to say, this girl's asking everything. Yes, we know. We cross all the T's, dot all the I's here. So we're gonna look, and then when you got to come back on and bring that one out when it's ready.
Absolutely, it's a prequel. I wonder if
it's going to be a pink cover, or maybe she'll do it all white. She'll do the cover. She'll do the cover pure white, purity or something.
Pure white.
Cleanse your soul. Cleanse your mind.
Cleanse
what do you think? But everybody, but all knows. But all jokes aside, but what happened? We do want people to get out there. Most hated, and read the book. Give her comments. Kara wants comments, people. And you know how everybody's the internet's there, social media is, because before you couldn't give any your opinion. Now you can give all kinds of opinion because we have social media, right?
100%, absolutely.
And if people want to follow you, Kara, and reach out to you, can you tell your social medias quickly?
Oh, absolutely. My Instagram is at Kara Alloway, KaraAlloway, at Kara Alloway. And that's also my Twitter, and my Facebook is official Kara Alloway, or I think it's Kara Alloway official.
You see, some people don't even know their own Instagrams, their social medias, but it's okay. You can find her. You'll see her name right there on the screen, and you can follow. And also go on Amazon. Please go and get the book. We want to hear. She wants to hear your opinions on Plus. Yes. Oh, how much is it? I forgot to ask. That's the main thing.
That's a great question. It's $18.99.
Well, that's under $20, 21, depending on
$20. The e-reader, I think the e-reader is $11.99. The digital format is $11.99, and I'm not sure about the Audible. For some reason, I don't know the price of Audible.
Okay. Well, you can all find that information when she puts it up there. But right now, you guys can go get the book. And also, I do want to thank Kara for coming on and telling us about the most hated and her journey. Well, she's had a big journey there. So you guys look out. And in the film, you're going to be doing some more reality shows or reality charity funding.
Reality shows.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yep, I have some reality shows I'm producing on the other side of the camera in pre-production.
Yeah. Well, this is Real Life Matters. So we're getting everything real here from Kara and all her matters and everything. And I'm just so privileged that she's come on, because at least we got somebody from the housewives, you know, in that brand, but at least we got the Canadian brand on the Canadian network here, that somebody was in the Housewives. So I was so excited when I heard her that she was going to be here today. So I
Thank you
was
so much
like,
for
all
having
right.
me.
Okay,
This
so
is
anyway, I
so
do
fun.
want to thank you again. I do want to thank the viewers for tuning in tonight. Oh, thank you. Well, you had the experience, the DBoss experience. So, you know, and come back when you write your new book. You know, if you just reach out to me, and, you know, just come back, because, you know, because the viewers do want to find out, well, what's going on with that Kara? She only came on one time, talk about her book, and she left. You know, I get a lot of that feedback. So, or they pull out somebody that I haven't interviewed in like a year or two, you know. So I said, well, I got to get new people out. But anyways, I do want to thank everybody again for tuning in here with Kara and her new novel, Most Hated. So everybody, so good night. And you got to stick around, Kara, and bye for now.